mentioned Devashishu, the main devotee. So please excuse me, Devashishu, we're going through. Devotees are jumping around my screen. Your voice came, then I knew you were with us. So to Devashishu, to all the assembled Vaishnavas, let us begin actually with Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, because we've come together and that's our urgency, isn't it? Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripasinduvyeva
Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah.
And then we can say Om Agyana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. And to Mahaprabhu, Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Pradayate Krishnaya
Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gopurate Namaha.
Hare Krishna. So I'm also going to take off one layer of clothing because it's warmer here than out in the open downstairs. All right. And yes, Ananta Sheshbu from Spain has joined us. Subhasini Devidasi joined us. And Lakshmi Priya from Ukraine, Lviv side, has joined us too. And Leela Sundar Prabhu must be nearby. Krishna Chaitanya. Okay, dear devotees, let us come straight to our point for the day and the subject matter for the day. And that subject matter has been kindly given by Devashish Prabhu as the unexamined life is not a life worth living. And already, before we've come to the Zoom, there's been some discussion of the meaning of unexamined. So we have to understand what also is unexamined. So maybe, Devashish Prabhu, would you like to start us off?
Yes, well, sure. Okay. Good evening, everyone, if it is evening where you are. So I actually think we may have had this title for the meeting before, but it's always a theme that I like to come back to anyway. And as many of you, I'm sure, have realized, this is a quote from Socrates, the Greek philosopher. Can you not hear me?
No, I didn't know.
Oh, so, okay, yes. So, yes.
I haven't read much of Socrates, I have to admit, but anyhow.
Yeah, so yes, Socrates said this: the unexamined life is not a life worth living. And really, what does that mean? It means somebody who hasn't questioned what their life is about, somebody who just goes on, like a sheep, following everybody else, believing everything that they see on the television, and just like living in a kind of numbed euphoria, perhaps, or like as the song says, I've become comfortably numb. People want to make their life a kind of numbness, so they don't have to really consider what it's all about, so they don't think about who they are, what they're meant for, what they eat, what the repercussions of their actions are. All of these things represent an unexamined life. Somebody who just goes on without any thought whatsoever about who they are and what they're doing, and in so many ways. And so, of course, for a devotee, this is something that's essential. From the very beginning, we want to question, like, who am I? Why am I here? What am I meant to do? Where am I meant to go? Why do I exist? All of these kind of questions are the questions of a seeking person, someone who's trying to make order of their life, understand the purpose of their life. And of course, that can bring us to devotional service by the grace of the Lord. And we see, actually, and I'm not the only person I know that many of us came to a point in our lives where we just had to say, God, I don't know if you exist or if you don't exist, but if you do exist, please help me to understand what this life is all about. Why am I here? Why am I suffering? And this isn't just our question. This was Sanatan Goswami's question to Mahaprabhu. Of course, it's not that Sanatan didn't know the answer already, but for our benefit, he's posing this question at the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu. Ki ami, he said, who am I? Why am I suffering in this material world? What's this life meant to be? What's it for? And Mahaprabhu replied, Jivara Sharupahoy, Krishnara Nityadas, Krishnara Tatasta Shakti Beda Bed Prakash. You are, and not just you, Sanatan, but everyone is the Jivara Sharupahoy. And your Swarup, your form is Nitya Krishna Das, the eternal servant of Krishna. Jivara Sharupahoy, Krishnara Nitya Das, Krishnara Tatasta Shakti. You have come from the marginal potency of the Lord. You are his marginal energy. That means you can adapt yourself to the spiritual world of service, or you can adapt yourself to the material world of exploitation. You have free will to do that. Krishnara Tatasta Shakti Beda Bed Prakash. And Beda Bed Prakash means you are in essence one with the Lord, and at the same time different from the Lord, one and different. And that's further explained by the example of the sun and the sun ray. That no one can say that the sun ray isn't the sun, but it's not the sun in its entirety, but it's part of the sun. So it is the sun, and at the same time different from the sun. So we are like that. We are one with the Lord because we are spiritual in nature, but different from the Lord because we are infinitesimal and he is infinite. We are always servant and he is always the master. He is the possessor of Shakti, the Shaktiman, and we are his Shakti. And these are all, eternal truths. So for our benefit, Sanatan Goswami asked that. So then we can say, oh, okay, so I questioned about my life and I came to Krishna consciousness. Okay, now, but then what? You can just go on without any further examination, can you? No, of course not. It must be a constant examination of who we are. Not at the beginning of the examination of who we are, because the layers of the answer to that question are infinite, and they go on deeper and deeper and deeper all of the time as we progress in our spiritual life. So we shouldn't, rest on our laurels and think, yes, well, I asked that question a long time ago. Now I know all the answers and just going on. No, that also won't do. It's in Sanskrit, Guru Maharaj told, it's called Atmanikepanam, which means like self-examination. And it's something that we have to do all of the time. How much, and this can be our gauge, if you like, how much am I humble? How much am I able to be tolerant? And how much am I able to genuinely give honor and respect to others, and at the same time not covet any honor or respect for myself? So, this is an ongoing thing, and generally we fall very short of the standard, because what is the standard? This has been given. Mahaprabhu has told this in the verse, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur has expanded on that. Okay, humble. What kind of humility are we talking about? Humility meaning, more humble than the blade of grass, more humble than the straw in the street. And he gives the example that if you tread on grass, it doesn't push back. It doesn't push against that. It accepts, and it's made low by whoever's treading upon it. So that kind of humility is what Mahaprabhu is speaking about, that we don't push back. And Bhaktivinoda says, we're worse than the grass, because when the Lord comes to grace us, we push back. No, 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 I don't want that. I have my own plan, my own idea. I don't want that. So we're worse than even the blade of grass. So, we have to try and become mindful of that and realize that. And what kind of tolerance are we talking about? Well, again, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, tolerant like the tree. The tree is the example of tolerance. That, people carve their names in the tree, don't they? And they cut off its branches, take its fruits. And even in Bhaktivinoda's example, he says, even when you're chopping down that tree, it doesn't protest. And not only does it not protest, it still gives you shade and offers you its fruits while you're axing it to the ground. Now, this kind of tolerance. Once I asked Srila Govinda Maharaj when I was leaving India to return to London, I said, any message for the devotees in London, Maharaj? And he didn't think very deeply, or I can say, he didn't take any time to have the reply. He said, yes, Prabhu, you tell the devotees there that they must be tolerant, and tolerate. By tolerance they will get everything. And how tolerant? That they will tolerate everything until it becomes completely intolerable, and then they must tolerate that also. So this is, the one, the tolerance. And we can say, Srila Gurudev gave much emphasis more on tolerance than perhaps the other two things there, because people can fake humility. We know that, we've seen that. There's a great example of that in the book of Charles Dickens, David Copperfield. There's a character in there who's called Uriah Heep, and he's very humble. He's always very humble. Yes, sir. Yes, master. Yes, and always, like showing subordination to those who are better than him, so to say. But all the time he's plotting to ruin these people and take away their wealth and their position and all of these things. So we don't want that kind of tolerance, that kind of humility, that Uriah Heep humility, which is fake. In fact, Srila Prabhupada was said to have said that too much humility is the sign of a thief. So it needs to be real. It needs to be real, not just a kind of groveling nature. That doesn't mean humility, really. And Guru Maharaj has further explained this, that humility to the Vaishnava, not humility to the mad people in the street. So and to give honor to others. Well, what does that mean? How do we give honor to others? And what kind of honor should we give to others? Well, then we don't like to give honor to others because we think it diminishes our own position. And rather, we like to see other people fail. It's just a terrible trait of human nature that we see, that when somebody else fails, it gives us some kind of good feeling inside. I knew that was going to happen. I said that person was going to do this, or with a kind of scornful attitude we have towards them, because it makes us feel better about ourselves. And this is why you see in the newsagent racks and racks of these magazines about like celebrity gossip, because what they love to do is they love to make some celebrity, put them up on a high pedestal and praise them and tell how great they are. And at the same time, they've got researchers trying to find some dirt on them so that they can then expose the dirt of that person they previously championed and bring them crashing down, and people lap it up. These magazines are so popular. People buy them all the time. Yeah, look at what happened to him. Look what they said. Look what she did. Look what they love it. It's a terrible trait of human nature. And we heard from Guru Maharaj that Saraswati Thakur he saw that, and it's normal, right? In human nature, we don't get on with everyone. There's, as much as we try, even amongst the devotees, there's always someone who, we're a little at odds with. We don't, just doesn't quite click. We don't get on with them. We may have some bad feeling towards them, or they may have some bad feeling towards us. So Saraswati Thakur's solution to that was, when he saw that two devotees were kind of in conflict with each other, he would say, they would have a meeting, an Ishtagosti meeting, where they would discuss various things about the spiritual path. And he would say to one about his, antagonist, he would say, "Oh, say something in praise of your friend. Please say something in praise of your friend." And then he wouldn't just accept some kind of superficial thing like, "Yeah, he's a great devotee," or no. Guru Maharaj said they would have to dive deep into the bright side of that person's nature, and like mine out those things that are actually there, because in every devotee there must be some goodness in there. Of course there must be, otherwise how could they be a devotee or an aspiring devotee even, to try to find that, bring it out and show that. And Srila Guru Maharaj said, if you give honor, even if that person is not worthy of that honor, by you giving honor makes them honorable. So this way, but at the same time, not to expect any honor or respect for ourselves, which is a very difficult thing, because we have this huge ego that makes us think that we're very important. And really, that's a kind of ludicrous thing, actually, when you think about it. Why shouldn't we be humble and tolerant and be able to give honor to others if we can understand what our real position is? And our real position is very insignificant. Just we can say, that the examples there, that we are in our universe, and our universe is one amongst many, many universes, so much so that it's described, a mustard seed in a sack of mustard seeds is our universe. Then if you buy a sack of mustard seeds at the market and you're taking it home and a few seeds drop out, will you stop to pick them up? No, you won't give it any attention at all. So in other words, if our universe were just to disappear, there would be no loss at all there, because there are so many, countless universes coming and going all of the time. But still, we are so small, that what would they say, practically infinite, that this universe is practically infinite in itself. And somewhere in there's this little blue and green planet that we call Earth. And on that planet, where from space you can't see any evidence of any life at all on this planet from there. Nothing, no man-built structure or anything. Some people say, "Oh, the Great Wall of China can be." It can't. They can't. You can't see that from space. None of these things can actually be seen. And amongst that, there are so many, millions and billions of living beings, of which the humans form a small part. But even so, on this small, tiny little planet, and in a tiny little space, on a tiny little country, there we are thinking that we're very important people, and that what we say and what we do is very significant. And this is a madness, this kind of ego that we have. And Srila Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj would say, this is what separates us from seeing the smiling face of Lord Krishna, is this Himalayan mountain range of ego that separates us from the Lord. So the you can say antidote to that massive ego is to practice humility, tolerance, and giving honor to others. And this is why we should always be examining ourselves. How much am I humble? How much am I tolerant? How much am I able to genuinely honor others and respect others? And we should try and understand that in an honest way. Then, because without honesty, we can't move forward. First of all, you have to see where you are in the scheme of things and where it is that you want to go. There has to be some realistic appraisal of that. And that's why it's necessary for us to always be examining ourselves, always looking to our shortfall, and then trying to make it better, try to do more of that, make ourselves more genuine in the line by practicing. It's a sadhana. Our sadhana is to practice humility. Our sadhana is to practice tolerance. And our sadhana is to give honor to others and not to expect any honor or respect for ourselves. It's our sadhana. We should step back and in every situation, as far as possible, how can I deal with this in humility? How can I deal with this with tolerance? And how can I deal with this by giving honor to others? Work it out, try to see that. And when we can honestly see how far away we are from that, then that should not make us despondent, but should make us more eager to progress in the right way, to advance in the right direction, to develop those qualities, those real qualities, because those are the qualities. They're all, you can say, negative qualities: humility, tolerance, and honor to others, because it makes ourselves in the negative position. But the negative, by accepting our negative nature, you can say, is the only way that we can attract the supreme positive, that's Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is not, he's not attracted by those who try to assert themselves before him, to show themselves before him as being something special or something great. It's foolishness. And as children, we learn this lesson in the science laboratory with the two magnets, when you push the positive end against the positive end and they repel each other. But when you turn it round, positive to negative, then they join together. So this is an example that we should understand, is the truth about spiritual life also. Krishna is the supreme positive, and we're all part of his negative energy, you can say. And negative doesn't mean and something bad or something despicable, or that nowadays everyone's saying you should be super positive about yourself and super positive. This is all kind of a foolish idea, just to try and sell you shampoo, actually, because you're worth it. These are all foolish ideas, that actually what we want, you can only get it. The door that we want to go to, not the door of qualification, because at the door of qualification, we're just going to be laughed away, because we're not qualified, any of us, in no way at all. We have to go to the door of mercy. And the only way to reach that door is on your knees. You have to crawl there. You have to go to the bottom and go to that door. And the Lord will accept you if that's genuine, if your attempt of humility, tolerance, and giving honor to others is genuine, and genuinely you're developing those qualities, unveiling those qualities that are already within you, realizing that part of your nature, that genuinely will attract the Lord to give his mercy to you. So this is why not only is it true that the unexamined life isn't worth living, it's true, always true. Always we should be examining ourselves, and always we should be aware of how much we're falling short of the standard, and try every day to be better, to give more of ourselves to the spiritual path. Just a little bit. Just make a self-made vow that today I'll try to do more for developing my Krishna consciousness, try to be a better devotee than I was yesterday. And if we think that every day and try to do that in a genuine way, we must make progress. But it's measured in the inverse, you see, it's measured in the inverse. When we actually realize how far away we are and how hopeless is our case, then we become fit recipients for the Lord's mercy. So not only initially we should examine ourselves, always we should be examining ourselves. And Srila Govinda Maharaj said that in, Arabic, they have this term, a saltamani, when you come and you give a report. This is the report, we made this much profit, we made this much loss, we sold this many things, or whatever it is, an inventory. So we should have like a devotional inventory, Srila Gurudev said. How much have I been able to come up near to the standard of devotion? And we shouldn't be, disappointed by that. We should be inspired by that, to go on and in a sincere and healthy way. It's the healthy devotee. The healthy nature of the devotee is to feel that divine negativity, because that makes us fit for the mercy of the Lord. So anyway, that's my my contribution to the conversation today. Thank you all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Devashishu, you are our host. We are in London, and we've all gathered from all over the world to be with you in London. And when I received this message about the title, actually, I was 36 hours without any internet connection, and I'm still alive, by the way, dear devotees. Just see how much, we do find ourselves, needing the internet, and then realizing how much we can do without it. Anyhow, so it wasn't so long before this evening's program, before we got internet, and then came here, the retreat place, and got internet, and then saw the title. And for the last couple of days, we've been meeting new people and devotees, of course, but primarily it's been to reach out, or as Chintamani Devi Rasi adjusted the word, preaching to people, reaching. And so when I saw this title that Devashishu gave, it came very much to me, first impression about, reaching people and trying to wake up those vast numbers of people of the world who haven't really examined their life, and really how to wake them up to make some examination of their life, to make their life worthwhile. Because it's so obvious when there is no inquiry after the higher plane, no putting into practice something practical to head towards the upper world, to try to consider that there is even another world. All these things, it needs a little bit of a kind of a spark to come into somebody's mind. And we can say that happened to us in some way, because we even now, I think, and when we're meeting the public, it reminds us, why is it that we were so much put up a big wall when first people would say something about, oh, the reason why we're here, what's it all about? When we'd hear some subjects like this as a teenager, we kind of, okay, I'm talking about myself here, okay, many of you are very fortunate, but when we hear things like this, we sort of close the door, and not only close it, we weld it closed and build a wall. And we say, oh, what's it all about? Where do we live and all this stuff? But something has to be there to give that little kick, that little spark, which is going to then make us think a little deeply. And it wasn't my case, but we do see that when close relatives are in life and death situations, some serious matter comes close at hand, then for a short while, we tend to notice that people do think, oh, what is it about? But then the world makes again numbness, makes them numb to, to what is it all about? Is it just birth and death? And, we just enjoy in the middle. And when we're young, it seems like eternity until we're going to be 60 years old, 70 years old, like this. And then we find out it's not eternity, it's just a few weeks. But anyhow, this unexamined life theme, it seems to be that one of the first things we need to try to do with the public is to give them some impetus to examine their life. Just take a few minutes, stop, turn off everything. Don't turn on the television straight away. Just spend a few minutes, go somewhere different, sit under, I don't know, a different tree, or do something different, and just spend a few minutes to think. And then spend a few minutes to think that experts have thought about this before, and not only thought about it, they've given us revealed knowledge. From their revealed knowledge, they have given us the direction of how we can use our life properly. And of course, Bhagavad Gita as it is, Bhagavad Gita, the hidden treasure of the sweet absolute. The Bhagavad Gita coming from the devotees of the Lord, coming in this way. When we read or hear, study Bhagavad Gita, then we would like to think that would give a little wake-up call from chapter 1, but chapter 2 onwards, where Krishna is explaining. Oh, something happened. Oh, we're still here.
Yes, man.
Yes, okay. Everyone disappeared, and then now I'm here. Okay. So Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2 onwards, when Krishna is explaining, what's happening with life. You've always existed, you always will exist. Just this matter of changing bodies. So somewhere, somehow, that wake-up call needs to come. And of course, Mahaprabhu's grand advertising and his way of trying to get us to have the shampoo, can I use this analogy in this case? Not sure. Anyway, his advertising of a good product, this product is the best product, is Harinam Sankirtan. And yesterday I was talking with one very professional gentleman who reminded me of Pushta Krishna Prabhu, who is the secretary of Srila Prabhupada for some time. He's a surgeon and gentleman and very educated. And he gradually has come to appreciate Krishna consciousness. But he said, ever since I saw devotees many years ago chanting in the street, I just thought this is something completely different. I don't know what it is, but it's completely different. And he said something subtly has been with him ever since, wondering about what is it those people are doing. And then step by step, gradually, and then he read many things, and then he met devotees. He met not devotees in culture in the street, but he met devotees. He met Suresh Krishna Prabhu here in Resegne, maybe a couple of years ago. And then bit by bit, he's kind of put together this, first of all, hearing that chanting. So this chanting process is the very process of cleaning the heart so we can properly find out what's in there. But the chanting process is one of the principal processes for the public, first getting some exposure and having a question mark. But that question mark is attached to the holy name, which is the Yuga Dharma, and that holy name is being chanted under the direction of Srila Prabhupada, at that time, direction of Srila Guru Maharaj, direction of Srila Gurudev. So that holy name is not just music, but that holy name really has its connection to the upper plane. And my own case, I remember too, that really when I think about it, seeing the devotees chanting in the street, I also had a question mark. But those devotees didn't distribute any leaflets with any connection of anywhere on it. So I was left still with a question mark. And Krishna, oh yes, so this comes to another point. But then Krishna sent a book to me because I was reading this book, and I honestly, and Krishna knows, I didn't know it was the Hare Krishnas. I was reading this book, and only after a few chapters, quite a few chapters, did I realize, start to think, not even realize, is this the Hare Krishnas? No, it can't be. Like this, because our impression then was, young boys, very young people dancing in the street, and we didn't really think they had some philosophy, but did have a question mark. And then gradually from that, then we came to appreciate what is Krishna consciousness. But this question mark matter has some value. And when we can wake up some kind of a question mark of what is this? It is different from this world that we're in. And what is this about myself? When some question mark comes, then Krishna comes to reciprocate, to say, okay, so you want to think a bit deeper, actually. Then here you are. You can get some answers, and you can examine actually what your life is for, not just blindly, but for some solid journey to our solid home. And that solid home happens to be beauty, sweetness, love, and charm. Hare Krishna. So when I first read the title, it was in that theme, that light, that I was thinking about it. And then Devashish was pointed out to us that, yes, our continued devotional life needs continual and examination of ourselves. Otherwise, we can also be in a religious rut, in a rut of routine, a rut of taking things for granted. And gradually we can be, if we're not careful, we can be also caught into the material flow once we start being attracted to reading those things in the newspapers, reading the headlines of the newspapers. And by the way, I was reading Srila Prabhupada, I read Srila Prabhupada's books too. I was reading Srila Prabhupada's commentaries in the the Upadeshamritam, because we are quite familiar with the Upadeshamritam verses, and now we've been reading now several times Srila Guru Maharaj's and Srila Prabhupada's, Srila Guru Maharaj's and Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur's and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's commentaries on the Upadeshamritam. And this time I was reading Srila Prabhupada's commentaries on Upadeshamritam, and just something that kind of struck me, which I thought I'd just share, that in this prajalpa, in this unfavorable things, to talk about mundane matters, to hear mundane matters, then in the very first matter, to control the speech, what we speak about, not to speak about anything which is non-Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada, he also says that, and the general tendency of the masses is to speak about anything and everything, but not about the Lord. Speak about all sorts of things, about the village, the politics, the health, and so many things, and just random speaking. And this isn't only speaking, this overflows into writing so many useless books, and then reading so many useless books. So the speaking nonsense, or the non-Krishna, non-godly things, the hearing non-godly things, applies to the books, just writing all sorts of things, and then to read all sorts of things. He's extending that prajalpa into the written word as well. So anyway, this whole theme that if we can wake up, originally our desire really, what is it about? And even if we get that opportunity to see the devotees, okay, what is it about? Then Krishna, he's fully able to do everything, and he's able to reciprocate and even trick us into reading a book which is not, which we think is not a Hare Krishna book. Hare Krishna. Anyway, self-examination, continuous journey, and really continuous journey. When lots of things happen day by day, we really do have to examine, are we doing what Gurudev would want, what Guru Maharaj would want, what is being given in the scripture or not? This part of self-examination. And if we don't do that, then we also, we're coming into that line of, we're not actually, I mean, it's difficult to put into words, isn't it? We're not actually putting into practice what is being told for us to do, not pointing to anybody, but for us to do. And therefore, if we sort of take everything for granted and slip into what others may be thinking, even with within the devotional community, then that's when we lose that honesty to ourselves of what's wanted. Then we lose that integrity of our journey forward. So it is very important to have this continual reference, and our reference point for all of our family is Guru Maharaj, Gurudev, and Srila Prabhupada. It has to be. Otherwise, the balance, the link, the unity. So the balance and the link, the unity is lost, and disunity comes, and we see it, and it is just basically a scientific fact, isn't it? So the unity of what we've got, we know the gold standard, and so that gold standard, we must always be examining ourselves. Are we following that or not? And then try to encourage others if we feel that clearly this is the gold standard. We should all follow this. We should follow this. Those who wish to hear, then we try to encourage them. You follow in this way. If we do right, we will come out right. They are watching us. They are seeing us. We tend to feel that, okay, we are searching for the Lord, but don't forget the Lord is also searching for us. And if we do according to the guidance that's been given to us by the greatest masters, then the Lord must also give backing and support to that. Accepting the Lord's guardianship, the very necessity throughout. Oh, Hare Krishna. But how in the public, to the public, when you have 50 people in front of you, how to wake them up, how to give them that understanding that the unexamined life is not a life worth living. I mean, we try, but the pure devotees, they can penetrate that mountain of ego that we were hearing about, that big cause of our separation from the Lord. We can only say something and try to let them look at the teachings, the straight, honest teachings of our masters. And we can say what we can say, what we feel, really what we can say most, what we feel. And that also means from the backing of the scripture, but not just to repeat. Yes, we get some, repeating some expressions or something, but what we feel we want to say. And I feel the necessity to always be very careful what we're thinking, and not to be thinking that what I think is right, but trying to listen and hear from Gurudev, hear from Guru Maharaj, hear their answers. And everyone's read questions and answers to Guru Maharaj and to Gurudev. They're there in the books. Everyone's heard questions and answers. They're there in the lectures. But I know that many devotees can't hear properly the answer. They misunderstand the words of Gurudev, misunderstand the words of Guru Maharaj. That's why the books are very helpful, because they've been thoroughly checked, and the content is correct. Whereas we know there can be misunderstandings, and we get translations also from other languages, which are, you can even say, I'm sorry to say, disturbing, when I sometimes See that when some question comes and it's not what Gurudev said or not what Guru Maharaj said, but it's translated that way. But it can easily be that somebody's heard it and misheard the English word, and then from that word they've translated it according to what they heard. And I was sent a translation recently, transcription recently. So it's English to English, but it was not correct. What can we say? Most of the words are correct, yes, but there's considerably not correct. But it's somebody who, sincerely making a transcript. And I'm thinking, so that's what they hear that Gurudev is saying. Interesting, because we tend to think that no, if you listen to a lecture, you'll get it, but not. It's not universal. That's why I give stress to the books. But everybody can see the questions and see the answers and surely catch the mood of Gurudev and Guru Maharaj. And when we have questions, then we must try to make those questions to Gurudev and Guru Maharaj. Our prayer is there to them. Whenever we are praying something, there is where our prayer is. And we must try to capture that and apply that in our life. And everyone should try to get to capture their mood, Srila Prabhupada's mood. So many questions and answers to Srila Prabhupada within the books. And within that book, Science of Self-Realization for the starting point. Srila Prabhupada rattling the people to show he has that adhika, he has that capacity to rattle the people, to get them think a bit deeper about, you better examine your life, because otherwise you're just fools and rascals. I mean, but he could do that. It doesn't come across well if an 18-year-old comes out with the expressions Srila Prabhupada comes out with, especially if they're talking to a 60-year-old. So we have to think of our location in the world. Yes, we're in London. I saw Vijayananda. Sorry, Vijay Krishna, only Lemoyne Vijay Krishna. Yeah, they're also in London. Ananda Sarupini, also in London. Vijayananda Prabhu's here, almost in London. Subhasini Devidasi, almost in London. And Kumkum Devidasi, she is with us. And she's with us. Srila Prabhupada blessed, Srila Gurudev blessed, Srila Guru Maharaj blessed. Help us examine our lives in a healthy way, Kumkum Didi. You are rich. We are coming as beggars at your rich doorstep. If it's possible. And you're not driving, don't take your hands off the wheel. Give concentration to what you're doing. And if you're piloting an aeroplane, especially, just let us know. We won't pressure you.
My dandavat to all of the devotees. I'm a beggar here. That is my best position in such an environment. There's no end to how much assistance we can get here to feel that we are completely being connected and lifted upward to our gurus. And I'm not able to start my video, but that's okay. Nothing to see here, but I can definitely say for certain that what I've heard here today is perfect example. In the beginning, we were fortunate to think how to examine our life because of desperation, trying to come to some understanding of what is the purpose of my life. I was a college student, so what do I want to major in? What do I want to do with my life? And coming up short in every way, anything satisfactory. So definitely this examination can be very helpful, but then when you don't have answers, it can be so frustrating. And somehow or other, from all the way from Boston, Massachusetts, where the magazines called Back to Godhead magazines were being printed, down to where I was in college in Clemson, South Carolina, something many, maybe 1,000 miles, one person happened to receive this magazine and brought it all the way to where I was staying. And when I read Srila Prabhupada's words, this is perfect. He doesn't have to come up with the answers himself. He's completely dependent on the Lord. And so he sees all of the answers clearly. Like, you are make me a success or a failure as you like. And so I had to desperately find the person who had brought this magazine and tell me more. Where can I find these people? And this person, who was a friend of my brother, happened to say, "Oh, I don't know. Somebody gave it to me because I didn't have a quarter. I haven't looked at it, but I just put it in my pocket." And so that taught me early on that never is there a time where Krishna won't reach the soul who needs to be connected. Never is there that time. And thinking about this topic, I found this beautiful quote, which is from, it's captured in Prabhupada Jivanamrita, and it's from Sri Ramayan. And Guru Maharaj says, if one seeks refuge in him just once, he awards fearlessness to that person forever. And the quote is, "It is my pledge that if anyone just once sincerely petitions me for shelter, saying, 'I am yours,' then I grant him courage for all time to come." So even if we just get this once connection, what to speak if we actually sincerely try to keep up our practices regularly? And if we fall away, then we immediately try to pick ourselves back up and follow the exact same path as closely and sincerely as possible. And for us, Krishna protecting us means our Guru is protecting us. That's all they are attempting to do or have ever tried to do for us. So I'm very grateful to be a student here in this assembly.
Hare Krishna Kumkumadi, much appreciated expression. And you were unsuccessful about keeping the camera off, because we can all see your heart. Hare Krishna.
See, kindness everywhere.
Govinda, Hare Krishna. Well, everything is about feeling, isn't it? It's about heart. Heart. Govinda. Yes, Devashishu, you're the MC. I'm the Dasan who does.
Yes, Maharaj, what can we say? We're very happy to hear the devotee's expression. And we find, it's common to so many devotees, when they were feeling desperate to understand what is the truth, what is their life about. Somehow Krishna delivered that answer to them. And this is the experience of so many of us when we were searching, didn't know where to look. And suddenly, seemingly out of nowhere, that answer came in the form of Krishna consciousness through the books and magazines and devotees of Srila Prabhupada. It just came to us like a messengers of God, and answered our prayers. And that in itself is like an undeniable thing that so many of us experience. And it's so common amongst the devotees who are searching that somehow magically, mystically, they got this connection and the answer to their prayers. And certainly that was the case with me. And even though I didn't even really understand or what I was looking for, what I was searching for, that, as you said, that what we are searching for is also searching us. So, then it's not surprising really, although it is miraculous, and it helps us to understand the reality of the Lord's existence and how merciful he can be to all of us. So I think that's our time for this evening, and very wonderful to hear from Kunkun Didi, from yourself, Maharaj, and we're very happy that so many devotees could join with us. We hope everyone will join again with us soon, hopefully next week, and all of the many Zooms that Maharaj does, of course, much more than I do. But so we can just finish by giving our obeisances to our guardians. Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Om Vishnupad Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Rupanu Gurubhargya ki jai. Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswata Acharya Brinda ki jai. Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj ki jai. Samadvaita Vaishnava Mandali ki jai. Harinama Sankirtan ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Patitanam Vaishnavebhyo Namah. Dandavas, dear devotees, we did greet the earlier devotees, but I see so many have happily joined us throughout the program. And to each one of you, one by one, our obeisances, appreciation, and encouragement to keep the searching tendency alive, to keep our self-examination alive, and let us all come quickly to the family, forever at home with Srila Gurudev, Srila Guru Maharaj, and our wonderful guardians.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. Obeisances to all the many who are putting in the chat box also, and to all of you. Nitai Gaur Premanandi.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.